Main theory and practices in Jainism: right conduct and ethics. An ethic is the intrinsic choice of the consciousness between universal right and wrong, of which it naturally chooses the universal right while in its pure or less infected state. The modern definitions of conduct and ethics are to cause oneself to act or behave in a particular and especially in a controlled manner, and the discipline concerned with what is morally good and bad and morally right and wrong, respectively. The Indian philosophers describe everything in the context of the evolution of the consciousness, which occurs when the soul is in sync with the functioning of the universe. Hence, right knowledge and right worldview have been emphasized as essentials to understand the right conduct. The eminent scholar Jinendra Varni defines charitra as right conduct is through which benevolence of the soul is achieved and harm is deterred. And Acharya has been defined as according to one's willpower, the efforts made to enhance one's enlightened worldview. We see that in the definition of ethics, the scholar clarifies the importance of one's free will, which is neither influenced by someone nor has it been originated from an outer influence. This way, an ethic becomes an innate choice of an individual that eventually motivates one to adopt the right conduct. In the philosophy of Jainism, right conduct has been described for two categories of truth seekers. One is for the laymen and the other is for the ascetics. For laymen, it is mild, whereas for the ascetics, it is of very high order. In the text about how a householder's conduct should be, Acharya Samanta Bhadra writes, true knowledge knows the practice of the examination of behavior as pertaining to the rise, growth, and preservation of good conduct of householders and houseless renouncers. Hence, the importance of right knowledge has also been conveyed by the teachers in order to adopt the right ethics and through them to follow the right conduct. In the text on reality, Acharya Uma Swati mentions abstinence from violence, falsehood, stealing, carnality, and possessiveness. These are the vows. And in the very next sutra of the same text, the teacher clarifies the differentiation of the same vows for householders and for the saints. Partial abstinence is a small vow, and complete abstinence is a great vow. For a saint, these practices are the toughest and hence are called Mahavrat. Whereas for a layman, they are comparatively easier and are called Anuvrat. Each thought that gets originated in one's mind, each word one utters, and each action one performs has to be checked in order to avoid violence of any kind to any living being and to be in harmony with the nature, with the whole universe. We notice that lying, stealing, promiscuousness, and mindless hoarding of objects, these four are types of violence only. Hence, we analyze that the first and foremost vow is non-violence, which acts as a foundation for the rest of the four. This is the reason why ahimsa has been propagated in this philosophy as the most important principle. Depicting the control of an ascetic's mind, Acharya Uma Swati writes in Tattvad Sutra, controlling speech, controlling the mind, moving about carefully, handling implements carefully, inspecting food and drink properly to ensure they are acceptable. These actions strengthen the vow of non-violence. Even for householders, the same advice applies, though with milder restriction. Just like the leader of a family or a nation is expected to be the most responsible for the wrongdoings or virtuousness of his people, humans being able to stand at the pinnacle of the evolutionary ladder are supposed to be the most responsible and answerable towards their role of the leader of Earth as well. In terms of taking care of the natural resources, it can be the conservation of nature or animals. Hence, in the context of right eating choices, the Jains expect much more from human beings than convenient, easy slaughter, as each being on the planet has the basic right to live. Jainism tells us to be self-interrogatory by simply conveying perform every action mindfully. And eating choices come first in this category of mindfulness. The Jains say that no individual should interfere in another's life. Absolute non-interference is the beginning of compassion. The first step has to be taken by a person for oneself, as one cannot do much about the cruelty occurring around the world. However, one can cultivate one's inner realms through willfully scrutinizing each of her or his actions. India has taught the lessons of ahimsa to the world. We all praise the persona of Mahatma Gandhi for his non-violent ways in dealing with even the most significant political decisions of his life. World's great personalities like Albert Einstein, George Bernard Shaw, Martin Luther King, and Nelson Mandela are amongst the few global personalities who were highly influenced by Gandhi's belief in non-violence and always used it for sustaining peace. But rarely people know about the root of Gandhi's faith in non-violence. Impact from one's childhood stays with one for the whole life and keeps reflecting in each of one's doings. Gandhiji's close friendship with Ray Chand Bhai Mehta, who became famous as the spiritual leader Srimad Raj Chandra later, had an immense influence on Gandhi. He spent around 20 years of his youth at a communal house in Ahmedabad. During those years, the concept of ahimsa as the true religion got inculcated deeply in his persona. Gandhi was to show how ahimsa could work on the level of an entire nation in the 20th century. Not only ahimsa, but also concepts like the importance of self-restraint as an integral part of life and the significance of truth in all personal and professional dealings were emphasized by him. These traits are seen as universal laws and are deeply practiced by the Jain layman. India has volumes of history of not only the enlightened saints but also of the powerful kings who lead their kingdoms non-violently. Kharvel was a Jain king of Kaling in the present-day Odisha, who ruled during the 2nd or 1st century BCE. It is significant that there is no mention of his having ever killed an enemy. The conqueror used benign means, apparently, to force the will of his opponents and eventually devoted all of his time serving Jain monks. One may find the Jaina philosophy a philosophy of self-introspection, where there is no finger raised towards any other but within. There is no God but within. No desire of improvement of others but of the self. No traveling outward but within. O human, identify thyself with your real essence and not with what your circumstances modify you into. Mostly, we consider our home, relationships, property, and jewelry as our possessions. If one has a philosophical bent of mind, one considers one's body as a possession too. However, ancient Jaina philosophers were far ahead and declared one's emotions as one's possessions too. Even one's gender is considered as an inner possession as well. Jinendra Varni defines parigraha as possessions are of two types, inner and outer. The rag of the jeev is inner possession, and due to these emotions, incessant assumption and accumulation of outer objects by the affected person is outer possession. At the base of each outer possession lies the root of inner passion or emotion. Hence, inner possession is considered as the main. Thinkers of Jaina philosophy have described 14 inner possessions we identify as us. At any given time, each of us possesses 12 of them, excluding the two genders. These inner possessions are termed psychic dispositions of the soul. They are Mithyatva, Krodh, Man, Maya, Lobh, Hasya, Rati, Arati, Soka, Bhay, Jugupsa, Strived, Purush Ved, and Napunsak Ved. While the efficient control of these psychic dispositions is necessary to ascend the spiritual ladder, it is an innate part of the conduct because uncontrolled emotions lead to uncontrolled violence. Untamed inner possessions lead to unbound material possessions. In Jainism, ethics is the first and foremost matter of personal responsibility, where one is answerable to none other than the self. Even one's family, society, nations comes afterward. A strong sense of individual responsibility that forces everyone to consciously think over one's actions and attitudes. Especially nowadays, when one is under the constant influence of misinformation spread through different mass media platforms. News that propagates religious intolerance and hatred, even in the context of one's diet. Ethics in Jaina philosophy continuously motivate us to have one's own thoughts and choices in each matter. The purpose of being mindful at all times leads to improvising the self and to accept others as they are. The effort to lessen or eliminate one's own imperfections leads one to climb the ladder of spiritual evolution. Non-violence is our innate nature. One's desire of being ethical is not, and can never be, a forced phenomenon, but one's innate desire to return to one's true nature that is morally elated and joyful. Every person around the world focuses on being happy. Each philosophy emphasizes that inner happiness cannot be achieved by material possessions. Happiness is self-contained and self-sufficient. Happy men are free men, for they are not only in sync with their inner selves, but also with the laws of the universe. Indeed, true happiness is freedom because it is ethical and comes from the feeling that none of one's actions or achievements is causing harm to any being by any means. In his book, Messages from the Masters, Brian Weiss calls the deities as masters. He writes, "The messages from the masters remind us to allow our minds to return to what is important and to put aside what is unimportant. When consumerism is winning over the masses' brains through all ethical and unethical means, so much so that everybody is under the influence of what to eat, what to buy, what to wear, whom to follow, how to look, and so on. Ethics, as described in this Indian philosophy, help us tremendously in not only choosing the products we use wisely and thoughtfully, but also in developing our own individual thinking. Often, in our normal life, we tend to judge even our close relationships. We are not aware if this judgment does any harm to others, but it surely harms us. Hence, becoming non judgmental comes under ethics too, for it prevents us from being violent to our inner selves by having harmful thoughts. The whole purpose of gaining knowledge and being spiritual is that one starts the journey within. Jain culture discourages judgment of others and encourages self criticism. Though the beauty of this statement has been lost today, this is the most wonderful aspect of Jaina philosophy, as self introspection has the ability to take one towards salvation. Ahimsa is a universal law. Ahimsa means non interference with the natural balance and allowing every aspect of life and nature its own place and dignity. In the present day scenario, when Homo sapiens have crossed all boundaries of giving personal space to the elements of nature, be it domesticated and wild animals, or forests, mountains, water resources, land, etc., we must contemplate on returning to simplicity. In the quest of fulfilling his blind, self-oriented desires, man today has become a monster. He has molded the planet in a way where only he exists and only his wishes and necessities matter. No other being has even the basic right of life if man does not want it to. Whereas, even life forms invisible to the naked eye can be highly complex systems that play an unseen but critical role in sustaining life in its entirety. Unicellular bacteria also have the ability to help humans to sustain their health along with causing chaos. Recent encounters with the coronavirus have shaken up the world immensely, where packets of genetic matter caused havoc, which resulted in the loss of millions of lives. As a matter of fact, even these unicellular bacteria and viruses have a significant role in the cosmos. The research about the important role of tiny organisms in sustaining the planet's environmental health may be a newly found phenomenon which oozed out from the threat of global warming and the harm the human race is causing to Mother Earth. However, for a Jain ascetic, this would be no surprise, but an expression of the obvious. For the knowers of this philosophy, respect for each life form falls within the ambit of right conduct, and one's unawareness about the same is considered as ignorance. In his book Life Force, The World of Jainism, Michael Tobias writes, "You cannot save the world, but you can cultivate your own garden, which the Jains know to be the soul. There can never be the question of superiority of one over the other, at least in terms of their right to live. The difference lies not in souls, but in the rung on the ladder of evolution, where each being is located at present, as all souls share the same attribute of knowing and perceiving. It may sound like an imaginary state of perfectionism, but for Jains, it is an inbred thought they grew up with. Those who are aware of the teachings of this philosophy understand the seriousness of causing cruelty to any being under any circumstance. Violation of this causes serious repercussions that affect their journey of evolution and result in birth in hellish dimensions. And the journey to step out of the cycle of cause and effect becomes even lengthier. As the most developed species, it is necessary not to violate the fundamental right to live of every being and to strive to save whenever any organism can be saved. Without extending that hand of freedom to every other organism, there is no solace. There can be no moment's respite. The way one has the right to live, so does every other being, as we share the same life force. When a housefly troubles one during one's chores, one keeps shooing it away, and it keeps coming back with even more intensity to trouble one. One often thinks, why the heck does it not understand? Philosophers can ponder that the fly has a lesser sense of scrutinizing its own behavior. As humans, we stand at the pinnacle of contemplating from the simplest to the most complicated matters. And not only to judge each situation wisely, but also to choose what is better for us to ascend the ladder of physical and spiritual evolution further. Hence, as a species capable of profound introspection, we should have outgrown the carnivore mentality. This is why the journey to make the world a better place starts with oneself, including respect towards each living organism. Seeing the present exploitation of natural resources causing havoc already, the majority of the people on the planet need to rethink their eating habits. For example, is it really required to get nutrition from animal protein? Is it really essential for good health and a fulfilling life? Because nature has plenty of examples of gigantic animals who, despite their mammoth size, are vegetarians. Contrary to evolutionary expectation, the elephant, the gorilla, the rhino, the hippo are all vegetarians, in spite of the human presumption that the mighty need meat. By 2010, an immense boost in animal agriculture indicated that livestock systems occupy about 30% of the planet's ice-free terrestrial surface area and are a significant global asset with a value of at least $1.4 million. It would be futile to clarify further why it becomes necessary for the governments to condition people's minds that eating meat is the right and healthier option. In a world where ethics are considered apt only when dealing with humans, this Indian philosophy uniquely conveys the essence and individuality of each life force, each soul. Whenever one is upset with negative thoughts and emotions, one is suggested to be a spectator of them, as they are temporary in nature and eventually go their own way. Similarly, when it comes to, be it craving for food or an intense feeling to let out anger at someone or any other emotion that makes a human take a mindless decision, one is advised to be an observer, as even these pass by soon. Michael Tobias writes, those few minutes of psychological impasse, passion, disinterest, oblivion, appetite, are the same few moments that it takes to vent rage, to murder someone, to inflict every pain known to the human arsenal. These few moments, if not controlled, cause tiny individual damages like obesity and other diseases, and more extensive havoc like world wars, mass killings, and division of nations, to name a few. People have caused most of the chaos around the world in the name of God, where in the last 1,000 years, about 40 million people have died in the name of religion. Amidst this destruction, this Indian philosophy conveys a unique message, as Jainism is the only religion that has no God and yet is not atheistic. It states that there is no God who is the doer of our fate. Rather, He is the one who has broken the shackles of karma and has achieved moksha, and in the process has shown us the way to walk on that path. Return to Innocence is a song by artist Enigma, a German band. It is about returning to one's nature and not letting one's mind be influenced by society. Beautifully, Jainism talks about it at all times. What has stood out in Jainism for me is its penetrating insights, phenomenal integrity, and childlike idealism. Unblushing, naked, powerful, and enduring. It is like a telegram from the earth itself. Jainism lays the ground for a world where every human is filled with exaltation and lives compassionately and fearlessly, for he exists in absolute sync with the universe. Being the most developed species on the planet, the universe expects more from us. We are the caretakers of the earth's resources and must enact in that way. Art is one way to express this responsibility. Touching the essence of human achievements, Tobias writes, "Our art is flourishing, not because we have killed, but because we have loved. No matter how disturbed we are, art can save us from destruction, taking us into the realm of ingenuity. We find solace as imagination realigns the soul. In the process of creation, an artist travels to the innermost, the unconditional, the benevolent realms of the consciousness that help her in dealing with the garbage of conscious as well as subconscious mind creatively. Art plays a vital role in keeping this most developed species sane. Any form of art, be it writing, painting, acting, dancing, or sports, or any other specific skill to create something, has the ability to save us from destruction, for it transforms the inner darkness into illuminating light. The famous Spanish artist Pablo Picasso gave many quotes about how art is able to deal with the same. Two of his quotes are worth mentioning in this context. Art is the elimination of the unnecessary, and the purpose of art is washing away the daily dust of life of our souls. The way nations are working towards making themselves equipped with all kinds of weapons, be it atomic, bio, or chemical, ethical teachings of Jainism can guide the human race. But violence can never be the quest for the true nature of consciousness.